Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. It is the penultimate round in the first season of TF1eSports. Tonight, it could be championship over. Pam only needs to outscore Umbi by 3 or more points, and then it will be his championship going into the final round. And let's just see how the standings look. And there you go, 30 points separating the Alpine and the Williams. A miracle for Umbi needs to happen tonight if he is to bring the championship, and Gianlu is obviously, or John Luca, I should say, is out of this. Foxy has left the league after a disagreement with the stewards, with Kindle Zero rounding out your top 5. Saiju as well, I don't believe is with us anymore, with the Vins, Spindler, Marito, and Steve Ronaldo rounding out the top 10. Then it is Steve, Ninja, Luigi, Kai, and Scambro rounding out your top 15, and then the rest of your drivers that have taken part this season is Vomander, Guitars, Penolo, John Alex, and Chirolo with the bottom 3 without points. How it looks in the team standings, well, I don't think that, well, actually, that could be decided tonight based on the points that is on offer here in TF1. Of course, a maximum of 28 points for the constructors is possible per round. So if Alpine is outscoring Williams by 4 points or more, that is Constructors Championships for them. But we'll see how that goes tonight. So both championships could be decided. McLaren don't really stand a chance there in third, but they at least will not have any pressure from Ferrari, who are looking to just secure a top 4 billing from Haas, and then from there on out, it's Aston Martin, Sauber, Racing Bulls, Red Bull Racing, followed by Mercedes all the way at the bottom. But who will come out of last place? Well, who will finish in last place? Mercedes have been the more likely of the teams, but points on offer from 1st to 10th in this league. Now we will go to the race fate because we have just begun a single 18-minute session of qualifying here tonight, and it is one of the Williams leading the way. That is indeed your championship leader, taking the 11 cars behind him that are taking part, and they are going to begin their first flying laps for tonight. 16 minutes still to go on the clock. Everybody on soft tires for this session, as you should be. Going into tonight, though, we, of course, just to remind you, both championships could be sealed tonight. We've just gone through that, but here in Spain, we have a 14-corner track. Now, this does have a bit of history, because we used to have a, instead of the double right-handers, they replaced it with a chicane there that you would slow the cars right down, and it was in a bid to improve overtaking, but many argued that it did the exact opposite, and it wasn't a very popular change with drivers either. So I think it was from either 2022, no, it was from 2023, they reverted back to the double right-hander, much to the delight of just about everybody, I think, it's fair to say. But otherwise, yeah, Spain was also the test track many time ago. But I believe that has now gone to Bahrain International Circuit. So we can have a better race here. But otherwise, not very easy to overtake here. And with the dirty air in consideration as well, not a lot of overtaking opportunities. Here's one of your DRS zones that TH appears to, well, goes through, and it has a bit of a moment now coming through into the long medium speed left-hander. This is where you cannot overtake for a couple of corners now. Some have tried, and some have been, well, very little have been successful in their attempts. But yeah, it's a high-speed corner here, so yeah, you wouldn't really think about overtaking, and especially down here as well. The corner narrows up. It does open up on the exit, but it doesn't really allow you to bring 2 cars around there, as there you go, TH to the top of the timing boards already, and that's a 1:12.6. But then the Vins comes across the line on a good run of form himself recently, has now just got himself up into first place. Now, just to kind of let you know who was where in qualifying last week and who will be looking to improve, well, the Vins certainly would be one of them. I don't think he was even here last week. I'll need to double check that, as Karmakuda has also just got across the line of 1:14.0, and then the slowest of the times so far is Guitars. But Little Ninja, oh, well, I say Little Ninja, I think it's just Ninja, to be honest with you, will be next across the line here. He's a bit up and down, like a bit of a yo-yo. 10th place last week, which earned him 10th in the race there, and he's gone to 4th place for now, so Guitars remains the slowest of the bunch, and then Spindler and then John Luca will be next across the line. But at the moment, it's the Vins top of the timing boards after 5 flying laps. But now we're about to see Spindler bring home the 6th flying lap, and that is going to be a bit more competitive. So that is him to 3rd place. Both Alpines are here in Umbi and John Luca. And then we'll see. I think Gianluca will be next across the line, but an invalidation meant that that is kind of not going to happen. So it's now down to Umbi to get a lap in, as TH has already gone to the pits, already probably going to see what's happening in and around the track and see what lines he could probably take as the Vin's there. Definitely one of more of my surprises, as he's now into the pit lane. Now, of course, pit lane here is something you will have to be careful of, because you do go at over 100 miles per hour coming out of the right-hander of 13, which they also call Europe car. And once you go into the pit lane, you do have to slow it right down to about 60 miles per hour. So it is a very fast entry into the pit lane, but it's unexpectedly narrow, and for the uninitiated, it can really catch them out. So pit entry practice is going to be very essential here to even just finish the race. It's just that treacherous there. But apart from that, it's a pretty wide circuit. You do have a couple of runoffs here and there, but that pit lane is certainly an exception, as Kindle's 0 to the top of the timing boards after just over 5.5 minutes. And we will see what Umbi can do. He's just going to come to the line right now. A bit of traffic in front of him, but it shouldn't impede us that too badly as we go on board here. Flat through both corners, as you would expect with these modern downforce dependent cars, and that is 4th place for him. So that is the constructors, at least one step in the right direction. But now we just need to see what John Lewis' teammate can do. Guitars remaining the slowest of the times, but then as we say that, Kai goes across the line to put in the slowest time, and Scambro up into 9th, but that is without a time from Stee. Now, of course, we haven't seen Stee for quite a while here, so I'm glad to see him back. He had a great performance in Montreal, which feels like a lifetime ago now in comparison, and I'm just hoping that he can really bring some performance back now that we have a reduced number of cars. So I do want to see him kind of like in that midfield and battling, and maybe even at some point as well, then I'd sing his praises, and then he goes and does that. There's the commentator's curse in full effect for you. But otherwise, hopefully for the Kick Sauber team, Steve can bring some points for them tonight. I haven't, like I said, I haven't seen Steve for a while, so hopefully he's been away practicing and maybe just getting ready for a new season of TF1, but we'll of course soon find out. But at the moment, he's not going to set a time, as I think we just had Umbi go across the line there. Oh, did we? Hang on, who did we have just go across the line? That was, we definitely had somebody improve their time there. I think that was Ninja. Yes, it was. He's just improved by just over 7/10, and he is up into 6th place there. But still, 2 needing to set their laps, and Gianluca is one of them. He is currently 12th in the Alpine, but without a time, of course, is a huge influence there. So nearly 10.5 minutes to go. We've had the first 7.5 minutes, and we have the remaining 10.5 now. And, well, Gianluca maybe a bit on the back foot. Stee there sets a warm-up time, so that's not going to be a representation from Stee. He's definitely capable of much faster than that, as I've seen from the races that I've commentated with him in it. But Gianluca has got a bit of traffic here, and that is Kamakuda in front of him. And then there's the Racing Bulls as well, as, oh, Guitars here with a 5th-place grid penalty for serious contact with Stee, the guy we've been talking about earlier on. Let's just see if there is any fatal damage to that Red Bull. It is still going, but even rather slowly. Maybe just having a bit of a moment there. It is going to be a 5th-place penalty for Guitars. So if things stay as they are right now, he starts dead last, so we'll want to probably get a couple of places, and we'll probably have to settle for starting either 11th or 12th, but we'll soon see how that goes as Gianluca comes across the line now. Let's go on board for a lap round with one of the championship contenders. Well, it's going to be Constructors' Championship, but one of the early Driver Championship contenders. We'll see how this goes on, as they are going to go around flat through the long right-hander of Renault, approaching to Repsol right now. This is turn 4 on the track, and he's gonna takes a bit too much grass there, in my opinion, too much apex, but we'll get the exit there and then slow it right down for Sayat as they now go through the long hairpin. It's a very slow hairpin there, got to crank the wheel, but he's got that done okay, but a bit wide on the exit. Now it's through the left and right-hander, very medium to fast speed, but flat through here again, and then it is a DRS zone number 2, if you want to be technical about it, and then the left-hander, which I think they call a Lacacia. I don't know if that's really how you pronounce it, though. It is a Spanish pronunciation. I do apologize if I am messing that up. But otherwise, continuing on with the lap here with John Liu, hoping to get his foot in the right direction for the Alpine team, who are contending for the Constructors' Championship and could seal it tonight. Both drivers and constructors could be sealed as he goes up into 6th place. He would have hoped for better there on that lap, but there is work to do, especially through Sayat, certainly had some understeering moments, but at least he's got in the banker lap at the right point. But now we go on board to who could also confirm the Drivers' Championship tonight. Needs to outscore Umbi by 3 or more points, and then he will be champion before the end of the season. And now approaching the left and right-hander again, fast through here, and then you're back on the throttle. But it is very easy to lose it on worn tyres, so it will be about throttle control as they go through the first stint of the Grand Prix, and towards the end of the Grand Prix as well, unless it has a late safety car. That would really ruin the strategy. But otherwise, yeah, with full fuel as well, one they'll have to be careful of in the race. And same through here as well, long corners here. But now you can just go flat to the floor if you've got your setup correct in your downforce. And certainly a bit of a left there from TH, also known as a PAM throughout the season. And now across the line, second place, but only not good enough there. 300ths missing to go to pole position. Kindle Zero currently holds that time, has a bit of a moment through Worth. But what will this be through Sector 2 as he goes through Campus now, or Campus, sorry, beg your pardon. And through the DRS zone, he's got to approach the Sector 2 time board now. That is a 10th better than his personal best. One thing to remember as well, in qualifying, the personal best is always top right there, and it only compares to the driver's time, not the overall session time. So unless if you're on board with the leader, which we are right now, so technically this is a comparison to the overall best, and that is an improvement there. 1:12.145. So a bit of work for TH to do going into the final few minutes, but we are now past halfway and we are coming into the closing stages of qualifying. Kai on a time has just started one, and in fact actually may have just finished. He's just improved by 6.5 tenths up into 9th place. Guitar's here serving a 5th-place grid penalty for a collision with Stee, who is also just starting a lap now. He's just gone through turns 1 and 2 in the Kicksauber and still last on the board. Can he repeat his miracle from Montreal many weeks ago? It feels like a lifetime ago, as I said earlier on. Guitar's here to the line, hoping to improve on a 1:14.6. He doesn't. It's a 1:14.7. No improvement there for the Red Bull driver. But now Stee is already over 6 seconds better than his personal best. As there was an Alpine there in the background that went very wide into the gravel of Repsol. But anyway, we're going to continue on and not pay any notice with that. Through Worth, Stee goes now. We're going to go on board with the Kicksauber as he goes through the right-hander of Campsa. And oh, goodness me, he nearly lost the rear end of that and nearly ruined his lap. But he's going to have to be careful of that in the race. He'll be hoping putting some rate on the with fuel will help it out with that, but of course the Kicksaubers are not very good with their tyre wear, so it is going to be a challenge if that's how his handling is throughout the rest of the Grand Prix. But now 5.5 minutes to go. Steve will get a representative time on the board. How old is his tyres? They are fresh tyres, so that is definitely a problem with the setup. He goes to 7th place, so there we go. At least that puts him in the middle of affairs for the Kicksauber driver. Scambro to the line there as well. He is up into 10th place with a 1:14.2, but Umbi now, one to look out for, invalidated, and he will of course mean he invalidated it between turns 13 and 14. So the next lap is automatically validated, and that is because again, I've always felt funny if that's allowed, but you see the car go bouncing up there. And, we'll see if that works out for him. But it is easy to get floor damage with these cars, so you've got to be careful of how you pick him. Oh, goodness me. I thought we were going to see a Ferrari in the wall there as he completely skips the pit lane exit and validating the lap. And that is going to really hurt. Now, luckily, it is one of the shorter laps here on the Formula 1 calendar, so he could just about get some time and get back into the pit lane to change his tyres, but that will not help his qualifying run. So pressure on Kamakuda as we go into the final few minutes of qualifying, but nobody on a flyer so far. Umbi definitely the exception to the rule, and I think he's actually still on the push lap just to get a banker in, and I think that is really the only reason he is still pushing hard around the track and just seeing where he's fastest and where he's not. But into the pit lane he will come, and just on time as well, because and you can see there why that pit lane is so treacherous. He was so close to the barrier sticking out from the right hand side, and that is where a lot of drivers I have seen get caught out, no matter how experienced they are in league racing. That is just how the cards fall. But Ninja here, still 9th place. Now, he got, let's just have a quick look at my notes from last week there, as Scanbro has just been disqualified from the session for facing the wrong way. That is actually in the gravel at turn 14, And there we go. Scambro will not set any further times tonight, at least in qualifying. He will have to wait till the race. So now he starts from last. And I think Guitars now will be starting 11th, as if you're disqualified from the session, you are actually automatically assigned to the back of the field. So I don't think Guitars is starting last anymore. So at least he'll be 11th maximum. But he has not really set the time and boards alight either, has the Red Bull driver. So work to do there in these final few minutes. But caution in Sector 3 for that slow-moving vehicle. And Ninja already on a flyer. 10th up in Sector 1 as he goes through Turn 4. And now approaching Turn 5 at a rate of knots. He will have to slow that right down. Can he take that line better? He certainly has there. So he's looking good so far. But now under 3 minutes to go, he is under pressure, and I think if he could have waited just maybe a minute longer, he would have the perfect track evolution and would be able to take advantage of that. And in case you don't know what I mean by track evolution, it's essentially when the track is dirty, and as you rubber in and remove the dirt off the surface and the tyres begin to make more contact, and it's also called rubbering in the track, well, the times will start to go down. And that's obviously the game makes it more, it accelerates that process much quicker. But otherwise, it is still something that the F1 games do simulate. But through 14 now, and that's going to be an invalidation. That is far too wide. Trying to take that corner flat when his setup really doesn't allow it. And unfortunately for him, he will not improve from there. So Ninja now under pressure. He's only got one more flying lap in reality, but at least will be one of the last to start a lap. As wow, Kindle breaking into the 111s. What can John Luke do? A personal best, but not a whole lot more. He does not improve from 6th place. That will not help his constructors team. That will not help the constructors for his team. And Spindler also needs to get on the case, as the Vins as well has just come off a lap, a 1:12.294. So matching TH there, wasn't able to improve by a whole lot there. So that is rather unfortunate for the Aston Martin. But at the moment now, slowing things down after a lap. After one lap on the softs, he will now go on for a second lap and surely start the final flying lap for him. He won't be able to recharge his battery going through the next lap after this flyer, because he will not have enough time. But no, he's going to the pits. That's it from the Vins. He can only get 3rd at maximum, but I don't think that's going to be where he finishes once the qualifying session is over. Umbi and Spindler still have laps to make, and that looked like it was a very wide moment from Spindler into turn 1. But Umbi is furthest down the road. He has improved by 3/10 there in Sector 1. And if that kind of momentum continues, he will go faster than the Vins. So now the Vins under serious pressure there in 3rd. And actually, TH isn't out there as well. This is disaster. If he wants to confirm the championship, this is not how you do it. So a bit of a disaster class there from the Vins and TH, and Umbi has just nearly gone half a second faster in Sector 2. The track is rubbing in at this very moment in time, and Umbi is saying, I'm going to take full advantage of that. Even TH isn't going to improve from this, and that's a Mercedes facing the wrong way. That is more than likely Kai there, down in 10th place, so he will get another lap on the board if he can just get things together, but there'll be a lot of dirt on his tyres. He'll need to shift, and Umbi, well, the Vins gets away with it. Umbi will not improve, and TH will stay where he is, and that is really lucky, as now Spindler has invalidated the time, but he's going to try and go on a final flying lap, but didn't have very long to go, but he's into the pits anyway. Into the pits goes Spindler, and honestly, get out of jail. TH and the Vins, they get away with going into the pits before the end of qualifying. And they are going to start 2nd and 3rd respectively. Stee improves into the 112s. What about the Ferrari of Kamakuda? He's improving by a couple of tenths as well in Sector 2. But now we're just waiting for Guitars. Now has just got across the line. That's 10th place for him. But obviously with Kai, with his 5th place grid penalty, making contact with Stee, he will start at the bottom. Guitars Italy Fans Club says Autosport 2004, but Kamakuda to the line now. No improvement from him, so Stee will stay 7th. And honestly, that is oh so lucky from TH and the Vins. That was incredibly lucky there. They get away with a bit of a disaster class there, which in the end turned out to not be a bad call. But Kindle 0, pole position for him by over 0.4 of a second. That is looking like your favourite here is the McLaren. Obviously, his teammate no longer here after leaving, after disagreeing with the steward's decision. Umbi wasn't penalised for pushing Luca, or known as Captain Foxy, off the track. And I thought he wouldn't get away with that, but the stewards deemed to find something that they they must have seen something that obviously we didn't have. And, well, Umbi ended up unpenalized. And unfortunately, I cannot read what that says, Autosport. Unfortunately, I am not Italian. Blame the organizers for not hiring an Italian commentator. That's all I'm going to say about that. But otherwise, thank you so much for coming tonight, Autosport. And I do hope you are having a good evening so far. We will now go through your unofficial results from qualifying. Well, your official results, in all honesty, as it is Kindle Zero, top of the boards there by over 0.4 of a second. For potential championship winner, TH only needs to outscore Umbi by, by several points, really. In actual fact, I've got that wrong, so I'll get back to you on that. TH just really needs to stay around Umbi, and then he's fine. And then the Vin's third, with fourth and fifth being Umbi and Spindler. John Liu, Steve, Karmakuda, Ninja, and Gutos round out your top 10. Gutos obviously will go 5 positions, but he won't be ahead of Scambro, who was disqualified for being the wrong way. So that'll be 11th Gutos. Kai will take 10th place, and then Scambro will stay in 12th for the time being. But for now, we are going to take a few minutes, and we are going to allow the drivers to take some time, get ready, and then we'll be back underway in a few minutes' time. Don't go anywhere. Action from Spain to come in a few minutes' time. Small update for you. We will be underway at 36 minutes past the hour. So that is 2 minutes from now, 36 minutes past the hour. Well, we should be underway at any moment because we are now 36 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to round 9 of season 1 for TF1eSports. Pam, also known as TH, is on course to take the championship tonight. All he has to do is not lose about 14 points to Umbi, so the maximum you can score in this league for winning is 16 points. So even if Umbi is to take the win, he needs to make sure that basically he... Sorry, I'll find the words in a second. That TH is 10th or less, or else that will mean the championship is done. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights for the race. and it's go in Spain there. And that was TH a bit slow off the mark, but he got the traction down, and he's already into the lead of the race after a few moments here. And TH now is actually down to 4th place all of a sudden. 3 wide into the start, into the first corner, beg your pardon, as the Vins now looks like he's taking the lead of the race from the outside. Incredible stuff, and Umbi gets ahead. There's been all sorts of carbon fiber going flying. What is going on? And Ninja has spun as well. He's spun out, and Stee is down to 10th place as well. Looks like there's been a bit of damage flying up and down the field. TH and Umbi having a bit of a moment. TH there, a bit deep into Sayat, but it looks like he's got that into the air brakes. Oh my goodness me! Oh, Williams on an Alpine made contact on the exit. That is Spindler and John Liu, of course, the two teams currently interlocked in a constructors battle. That is gonna be major if the championship for the constructors is taken into next week. That will be a hot talking point. But Umbi now is ahead of his championship rival, and is ahead so that they can actually bring home the constructors for Alpine tonight. We'll see if that is the case as Stee and Kai go side by side here through these corners, and somehow these non-overtaken opportunities have been made an overtaken opportunity. Stee is back into 7th place, but now he's got Scambro ahead, and honestly, compared to the pace between the two, this should be a open and shut case. 33 laps to come, and he should get this done at the first point of asking. DRS, well, no DRS at this moment, and now Slipstream as well, but oh, bit of a late defense there from Scambro, if I'm being honest with you. That looked far too late of a move to the right, but the Vins currently leading from Kindle Zero. So Kindle Zero losing the lead at the start of this race rather quickly, and even TH was even a bit caught out by that. I was quite surprised, to be honest with you. But at the moment, the Guitars fan club is, oh, here we go, Stee and Scambro side by side as we see a swap there for, I think that was 10th place there, John Liu getting past the Racing Bulls, and now there he is, just right behind in the frame here. We're seeing Stee and Scambro go side by side, and a bit of contact through Worth, but surely Stee will get the next move done in the next few moments. Let's go on board. We have the Alpine here, which is critical for the championship. Spindler on the gravel, but guess what? Stee wasn't able to get that done. John Liu goes side by side round the outside of this long right-hander, gets the move done, and now we are going to go back and see what Stee can do with Scambro, and Scambro very slow through the corner. Unfortunately, that's off track, Stee. You're going to have to give that back, and you'll get a track limits warning from that as well, as the Vin sets the fastest lap, but then Kamakuda does as well in 5th place. Great start for the Ferrari as well, and now here we go, Stee and Scambro going side by side. It's very rare that Scambro gets any track time at all, or even any camera time, and he's got some now because Stee has just got through into 6th place, but 5.9 seconds to the next car. He will be hoping for Stee's sake that John Liu is held up, and that's what TH will be hoping for as well, as will the Williams department, that he can be held up and allow Spindler back into this race. He's 3/10 behind Guitars as we speak, so the Guitars fan club having a bit of a nightmare in the country of Spain, because they are not seeing the best performance from the Red Bull driver. As now we are going to the battle for the lead. Can Kindle Zero potentially make a move down into the long left-hander? We're seeing a lot of overtaking at this early part of the Grand Prix. Kindle thought about it, but he decided not to go for it, and that might have actually put off the Vins there. He might actually be going wide, but look at this. Kamakuda is right with this battle, and he is currently looking very good. I mean, you compare that to last week, where he was, let me just have a look for you, Ferrari. He was in 9th place, and now he is battling for 5th, but then as soon as I say that, he has spun round. Oh, dearie me. I didn't catch that, as he has, oh dear. He has got caught on the curb, and he's retiring from the session, and that, oh, dearie me, that could bring out safety cars. Now Kindle Zero on the Vins. Oh, gonna go side by side. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Umbi has made contact there, getting a bit too scrappy at the front of the field, and that has meant that Kindle Zero has lost out as Kamakuda has left the session. And that is Umbi losing a front wing end plate. In fact, no damage at all. There was carbon fiber going flying there, but it just looked like it was a bit tooth and nail, and not much to separate the drivers going through what is what is Renault there, and all of a sudden we saw the Alpine just go wide. Kindle Zero had to go off the track to avoid any kind of contact, and now we are having drama left, right and centre for the penultimate round of the season. Spindler gets past the Red Bull at long last, but Spindler is carrying front wing damage, and now Umbi and Kindle Zero have swapped positions for third place as well. This is all going wrong with Kindle Zero, who started on pole position and he's not stayed there, and now he's beginning to fall down the field. And Kamakuda, who I was just singing his praises, saying he's in 5th place, has a moment, gets stuck on the curb, and he retires from the session without any need from virtual race control to intervene. So no VSC or safety car. We continue racing as we were. We are now on lap 5 out of 33, and so 5 laps of drama have unfolded as now John Liu will get past the Mercedes. So now the Alpines are looking fit to take the constructors tonight if Spindler cannot make his way forward, and actually both John Liu and Spindler have front wing end plate damage, while TH and Umbi do not. Oh wait, does TH have some front wing end plate damage? Yes, he does. So both Williams with end plate damage, but one Alpine still in the game. He, with Umbi, no end plate damage for him. So it was actually TH who suffered the most there. He'll be losing aerodynamic performance there, and he goes very wide through that right-hander, and that's going to lose him a couple of tenths to Umbi. Doesn't matter that he's got DRS. That corner was horribly taken, and that is because of the aerodynamic performance he's lost from that end plate coming off the car. So all of a sudden now it's upper hand to Umbi, and also tyre wear will be greater with the Williams as well. So this is not looking too great for him, as Ninja gets past Scambro at the first point of asking, really, was outside of DRS as well. That's incredible stuff from Ninja up to 7th, as now TH and the Vins do swap places, and now Kindle Zero is going for 3rd place, gets past Umbi, and that's Umbi down to 4th. But for now, remember, that is for now. He might, these two might actually try and work together and catch back up to the top 2, and in fact Kindle Zero has put his foot down as Scambro and Ninja go side by side again into turn 1 there. So after Ninja swaps, Scambro says, "I'll have that right back, thank you very much," and he goes under DRS into turn 1 and gets the move done. And well, look at this, top 4 all together again. The Vins is though being left behind by TH, so once TH got past, he has been a bit unstoppable. Let's see if the Aston Martin can keep within DRS, but at the moment TH looking like he is going to be champion by the time this is over. A maximum of 16 points is on offer, but there was a 30-point gap going into tonight, so really it is TH's championship to lose at this point. If he finishes 10th or lower, then this goes into next week, but that is a highly unlikely to happen. And the one time Umbi could take advantage of it, well, he did take advantage of it. That was all the way back in a chaotic race in Qatar a few weeks ago, but apart from that, Umbi wasn't really able to continue the momentum from that, and really TH has just kept things consistent from week to week and has just really looked faultless. And now we see 2 cars of DRS, as the Vins trying to stay within DRS of the car in front there, but no success. Oh, still over a second as they came to the turn 1. And now at the moment we are seeing the McLaren still be behind the Vins, and the Vins still trying to stay within DRS. But here we are, the Spindler and Gatoz swapping positions there. I don't know if there was a bit of a mistake from the Williams, but that is a very uncharacteristic one, as Spindler is now in last position, although Kamakuda was the one, it was the only retirement. And well, here we go. We're going to see Ninja and Scambro go side by side into the next corner. Bit of contact between the two as Spindler now tries to overtake the Red Bull yet again, but the Mercedes is probably going to hamper the momentum of the Williams, and does exactly that. It's going to be the over-under technique, though, from the Williams if he can get that done. But Spindler, no success on the exit of this corner, and that is going to have to stay as it was for now. But, oh, massive mistake from Gatoz through Worth, and that might give the Williams the opportunity it needs to try and get back past. Did the Red Bull get DRS? No, it hasn't, and that's rightfully so, as Scambro defensive now with a battle for 7th place. Ninja trying to make his way past, but unable to do so, so they're going to have to stay line astern for now. But the next opportunity is down the start finish straight, technically the first or second zone, as now Kindle Zero up into 2nd place there, has just got past under DRS conditions down the start finish straight, and now we are about to see that battle, well, for what is 5th place, ignite here between Steve and John Liu. but no success there so far. And now Scambro is going to be under serious pressure. He's going to try and go left and right to break the slipstream. He has to give room to the Racing Bulls, though. That's down his inside, but Scambro was a bit too aggressive. He will have affected his run into that corner. As, oh no! We've had an incident. Umbri is in the wall! And that is absolute disaster if you're an Alpine fan, because now he's going to have completely lost his front wing. He gets back underway, no intervention from race control required, but that is Steve up into 4th place. Who'd have thought that when we went into tonight, or who'd have thought that when we went into tonight? And now the Mercedes of Scambro and Ninja, well, Ninja finally gets done with the inevitable. He gets 7th place from the Mercedes, and now, well, a bit of normal racing has now resumed, and well, we're going to have a look at this battle for 4th place, because now this is honestly oh so important. But TH is more than likely bringing home the constructors. Spindler is not scoring any points as things stand right now, as Scambro and Kai swap positions there. That is for 8th place, but will Kai have any kind of advantage? No team orders in this league, I can tell you that for free, as Guitars now is right on the back of this. And now, there you go, John Liu has just got the move done on Steve. He is up into 4th place, but 9.4 seconds. Can he perhaps try and make a mark on TH in these next few laps? Zombie now obviously into the pit lane. And there is still a bit of a front wing there, but not enough there. The left-hand side, well, the right-hand side on that car has been completely demolished for the front wing, so he'll have to replace that, lose a lot of time in the pits. And there we go. But then again, it could have been influenced by some contact. You just never know. But otherwise, now we are going to continue racing. Well, he will continue on without retiring and see what he can do from here. He'll be hoping for a late safety car or a safety car at any point to just bring him back into this race. He is really on an outside chance now. He's going to have to be looking at Spindler. Any point towards Williams will mean that this goes into next week. Now, just to give you an idea of the gaps that were apparent, it was, let me just bring up the standings for you. It is, hang on. You'll have to wait on that later. My Discord has decided to glitch out, so I can't show the standings. And, hang on a minute. There you go. I just had all sorts of glitches in the past few moments there, but I'm right back with you now. Kai is at the moment ahead of his teammate here for 7th place. They overtook on the last lap, but Scambro here is, again, very slow off the corner. And now we are probably going to see Guitars go for 8th place. Let's see what he can do. The Red Bull is approaching the next DRS zone, which is viable for overtaking. And we'll see how this all works out. And now here we go. Guitars opens his rear wing, but is he close enough into turn 1? Doesn't look like it, just from looking at it here. And he will have to stay behind the Mercedes going into the first couple of turns. So at the moment, it's all quietened down for the moment. We're going to have to wait for pit stops to occur. But honestly, Kindle Zero, with his tyres, should be with the advantage at the moment. The crossover point should be in the next couple of laps, or even happening roundabout now, where Kindle Zero's hards will be faster than TH's mediums. So TH might be under a bit of pressure towards the end of his first stint. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see the one stop here and the hards go from lap 16. That's obviously about the halfway point here as we look at this. But Scambro and Guitars on the same compound of tyres at the same life as well. Both have 9 laps under their belt. And we're going to see Guitars, again, not really get close enough. I wonder if he just doesn't quite have the straight line speed here on the track, as now we're on lap 11 out of 33. So a third of the Grand Prix has gone. And, well, we've just got 2/3 to go, as now we are seeing the final couple of turns here, both going through this 13 and 14 section, which of course was recently reintroduced back in 2023 after taking some time out to try and improve overtaking with those chicanes, which of course had the opposite effect. As we said earlier on, just to inform you, so 23 points between Alpine and Williams in the constructors, so Alpine leading at the moment. At the moment, they are being outscored by the Williams department. Of course, Spindler with the singular point and Umbi with nothing at all so far. But of course, Umbi is, well, technically undercutting Spindler at this current moment in time. But if a safety car was to come around, how things would change. And that's really what both Spindler and Umbi will be hoping for, because they are kind of tuned out of this race. Umbi with a mistake a few laps ago, and Spindler with front wing damage has just not had the pace to catch back up. Kindle Zero as well is just trying to ruin the party for Williams, but it won't make that much of a difference. So, of course, 16 points on offer for the winner. That would be just about enough, I think, to bring home the constructors, because John Liu is... Well, no, sorry, hang on. Other way around. So at the moment, with Williams outscoring Alpine, that would mean that they would take the constructors into next week, but I still think even at this stage it would be highly unlikely that Alpine would be knocked off. It would take an absolute miracle. Umbi obviously scoring no points is not going to help things, and John Liu is only going to be taking home what is it? It is only going to be home 1 point. Sorry, no, John Liu is taking home 8 points, beg your pardon. So there's only 8 points for the Alpine, and then it is going to be Williams outscoring them. It's a 17-point scoring as things stand right now. So that is 17 points to 8 points. That's a 9-point swing towards the Williams drivers. That will mean the gap goes from 23 to 14 points. So all of a sudden, that is not an insurmountable gap. But now, Kindle Zero applying the pressure, we might be starting to see things change around very quickly. Of course, second place, I believe, scores you either 14 or 12 points. It is 12 points for them, so it would be a 4-point deficit for them. But either way, it would still be 5 points and then an 18-point gap if this was to stay as it was. But here we go. Kindle Zero approaches the turn 1 now with DRS, and no success there at the first point of calling. But the Vin's now into the pits on lap 13 out of 33. So 21 laps to go, and he is first in, and tyres will be changed onto a second set of mediums for him. So a bit surprised there. He will be then going for another stop. At least I think it was mediums he was on. If he was on hards, then I do apologize, but those mediums will not go to the end as Ninja now assumes 4th place. But Stee into the podium. He is having a very good drive so far. A great comeback from him after taking a few weeks out from the league. And now John Liu will come out in 8th place, trying to undercut TH potentially to try and get some sort of advantage, but with no replacement on that front wing, he is going to find life very, very difficult. And there's his teammate Umbi at the back of the picture. So Umbi did get past Spindler as well. So here we go. Spindler, of course, into the pit lane, but also not replacing his front wing. So he's happy to continue on with that damage. Very surprised by that, because he's going to have a bit of a handling performance issue under high downforce corners like this one. And now we see TH go into the pits to try and cover off John Liu. So John Liu didn't get much time with that undercut, and it looks like those medium tyres have seen the best of them. But Kindle Zero will be going longer so that he has fresher tyres towards the end. But he'll just have to watch out where he comes out. And, well, we can obviously observe the gap here. Stee in 3rd place. 24 seconds when they went into the pits. Well, Steve won't be the best comparison. We'll have to look at the Vince, who's being held up by Ninja right now, and Ninja isn't going into the pits, but this could also mean that he could benefit from DRS as they go down the start-finish straight. TH is making his way out now. You can see the frame there, and the Vince has been held up by Ninja as now he goes down the inside, gets the move done on the RB, but unfortunately, it was a bit too little too late. He is now in to 3rd place, and TH now 1.2 seconds away as now Umbi up into 7th place after Stee's pit stop there. So 8th place for him so far, but at the moment 27.9 seconds. If Kindle Zero was to pit in now, he would, I think he would just about come out ahead of TH there, but he would need to go over, let's see, it would be 20 lap old mediums or maybe 19 lap mediums, and that is a bit risky. So I think Zero will stay out for a few more laps and think pit and around maybe between lap 16 to lap 20. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But now we continue on, and we have just about all our pit stops decided, maybe bar one, and that is just Ninja and Kai. We're waiting for their pit stops now, so Steve should also benefit from those, as will John Liu and Umbi. But now Alpine's on a charge. 6th and 7th for them, brings home 9 points. But the Alpines need to be outscoring the Williams, and that is currently not happening. As TH is trying to go for the undercut as well, but he is on 1 lap old hards, but it is going to be tight as Ninja now with a 3-second penalty for track limit violations, and that was just going through turns 13 and 14 there. So he has now got that all, well, he's now got that surf post races now. Kai is into the pits, so now both Alpines will benefit from that. So 5th and 6th will now give you 11 points, which is more where they want to be, as now the damage is being reduced thanks to TH being so far down the road. I don't think they're going to be catching him. Zombie though with a 3-second penalty. That is the last thing he would have wanted. And, well, that is unfortunate for the Alpine team, but it's been a bit of a... It's not been the best affair for Umbi, of course, losing the rear at this point, at this very corner here, a lot of laps ago. So at the moment now, this is all going to start evening out. But we're not really seeing any battles at the moment. We're still waiting for one last pit stop to come from Kindle Zero. So now he is within his pit window and maybe pitting with either this lap or in the next few laps. I expect him to come in at lap 20. But then as soon as I say that, Spindler has retired in the pit lane. Spindler does not care about the constructors. He's done. And all of a sudden now, for Alpine, this has now been made a bit easier, because if Spindler scores no points, while TH is now the sole person who needs to now win in order to really give Williams the best chance going into next week. But now, his job has been made so much harder for the team. I mean, I know Williams were unlikely to come back with it as they go. Who was that? That was Spindler. Yeah, that's the retiring car, and the Vince was just making his way past that. Lost a second to TH in front there, so he won't be happy about that, but obviously, Spindler was not in control of that. And that is just a problem with the game. That's no fault of the league at all. There's no real setting to go around that. There's just nothing they could really do. So that's rather unfortunate for the Aston Martin driver, but has lost time to Williams in front, and now will need to just take a moment there as now Gatoz and Kai go side by side. Of course, Gatoz had to serve a 5-place grid penalty for a severe collision with the Kick Sauber in qualifying, but is now up into 8th place. And, well, those two retirements have helped. Of course, Makuda did also retire on the curb. But now on lap 17 out of 33, Kindle Zero into the pit lane. Bit of a desync there from the game, but otherwise he is now going down the road for his final stint. Now, the pit crew has done what they needed to do, but now can Kindle Zero come out ahead? We don't have the best camera angle there, and Kindle Zero just about will come out ahead. Let's go on board with the Williams as we don't get the best camera angle. But there we go. It is fresher mediums for Kindle Zero. But more importantly, what about the crossover period? It's only 3 laps. I did commentate a race earlier this week where there were only 3 laps between medium and hard tyres. And well, those hard tyres lasted out the rest of that race. We'll see what happens, as all we've had a spin there. Is that for Scambro? It indeed is, as he's had a moment going through turn number 10 there. And he is back underway. So, again, no intervention required from race control. But Scambro has consistently been the slowest of the lot and has made the most mistakes, I would argue, throughout the season. So, obviously, Mercedes will be probably looking at that and won't be very happy. But either way, now, things have calmed down now. The Alpines are currently a second apart from one another in 5th and 6th. But Ninja is being caught by these two. And, of course, Ninja is the only one who hasn't pitted at the moment, so we are still waiting for a pit stop for him, but everybody else has pitted now. Ninja is waiting to be on the fresher medium tyres towards the end of this Grand Prix. Wonder how long he will leave it, as there you go. We see John Liu struggling with the understeer from missing that front wing end plate on the right-hand side of the car. Looks to be doing okay so far, but otherwise it is going to be a bit tricky to control the car there through these high downforce sections, especially through here. And there we go. Ninja is starting to come into frame and is starting to come closer to John Liu as we go in. But, you know, Alpine don't really need to overtake if things work out like that. Ninja needs to serve a 3-second penalty post-race, and both drivers will be in that bubble. Umbi is just about a 10th away or so. And he'll be in that bubble very, very, very soon. But yeah, no, it's definitely quieting down for the moment. So the first lap chaos, or the first few laps of chaos, really haven't continued on. And at the moment now, we're just waiting to see what happens. But I think my favourite here to win is definitely TH. We've got a lot of laps to go, and his hard tyres should be in a better window once we're at the end of this Grand Prix rather than the mediums. And I just wonder if Kindle Zero pitted because of the pressure coming down, with the time coming down from TH on his fresher, harder tyres. And I just wonder if he could have just accepted maybe being just in front of the Vins, because if he'd have stayed out another 2 or 3 laps, he would have been ahead of the Aston Martin. Maybe not comfortably. It would have been tight, but I think he would have done it. Kindle Zero has the skill, and then he would have had the fresher tyres just to chase TH for the rest of that Grand Prix. And then the crossover period between the tyres might not have been so obvious, but then again, it's all about ifs and buts now, and Kindle Zero will have to live with this decision. Ninja now into the pits, and that will mean 4th and 5th for the Alpines. So for the Constructors' Championship, that is now 4th and 5th, 8 and 6 points, so 14 points for the Alpine. And this would be, I don't know, it would be a 2-point difference. So of course, it's a maximum of 28 points on offer. At the moment, of course, 23 points going into the Grand Prix. So Alpine's needing to outscore Williams by 6 points or more and then they would be crowned Constructors' Championships. There would be no doubt about it. I'm just trying to make sure we can get the points up. So, of course, 12 points for TH so far. And that would be a 2-point outscoring. So the Constructors' Championship would still continue into next week, but the Drivers' Championship would be all but sealed, as Umbi needs to, well, it needs to really win with the best chance of this. No real way to score it. There's no real way to put it for Umbi. He needs to win this race, and at the moment, he is in 5th place. Can a miracle maybe save his race towards the end of this Grand Prix? I don't think so, because then TH would need to be 10th or less. So basically, TH now needs to be needs to be 10th. I just don't see that happening. Even if he was 9th, then that would only make it even on points. But I don't think there is enough stats to go Umbi's way for him to take the championship. So either way, I think TH has really got this in the bag. He just kind of needs to be faultless, and he's been faultless all season. He has taken the most wins out of everybody, and that's why he went into tonight with a 30-point lead over everybody else. But at the moment, take nothing away from John Liu and Umbi. They have also had respective seasons, and that is why the Alpines are on top going into tonight. Let's not take anything away from this team. These two have also been consistent in their own right. And even McLaren as well, before Foxy left, they were having a good time. And even Kindle Zero as well has been a very good and consistent driver week to week. And he looking like he'll be taking the full 16 points away. But TH as well will be taking 12 points. And, well, yeah, no, I just don't see the Drivers' Championship going any other way. We'll begin lap 21 out of 33. It is all kind of coming to a quiet end as TH is actually catching up here. It is at just over 2 seconds, but I think Kindle Zero is also trying to look after those mediums as he continues to go further into this Grand Prix. At the moment, we'll see the two Alpines get DRS, and I think John Liu is just trying to help as best he can. Obviously, these two hoping to bring Alpine the Constructors towards the end of this, as now we're on lap 21 out of 33. Umbi now is going to be gaining and gaining, but he's not going to be anywhere near close enough as they approach into turn 1. 6 tenths there, and I think, honestly, they would probably benefit from swapping DRS at the relevant points, but maybe this track just doesn't really benefit that. I know that was a tactic back on F123, but I haven't seen many drivers do that in this game, simply because of how major of a role the dirty air now plays. So in case you don't know what I mean and you're new to F1 League Racing, well, first and foremost, thank you for choosing TF1 as your home tonight for this, and I hope you've been enjoying the racing so far. At the moment now, we're just kind of waiting for things just to kind of happen on track, and at the moment, the closest gaps are the two that we are observing right now, as Kindle Zero is starting to form a gap to TH. But again, Kindle Zero, I would imagine, is trying to look after his tyres, as maybe TH is as well. Maybe TH is also playing the long game here at the moment. We are currently looking at, obviously, Alpine trying to bring the Constructors' Championship into their field, but it looks like that's going to go into next week, a maximum of 28 points on offer. And at the moment, that's not going to be reached, as the Vins is also just in a race of his own. Of course, Aston Martins went into tonight with, let's see, they are trying to be ahead of the Haas team, but that will happen. That is for certain. So Haas will lose 5th place. Aston Martin will assume that. And the Kicksauber as well, with them in, well, with 16 points. Let's see, where is Steve? He's 6th place at the moment. That scores you 5 points. So let's just do a bit of calculation. So Haas to Kicksauber, gap of 26 points. So that'll be 21 points. If Steve is to be the only Kicksauber in next week, Haas would have 6th place all but secured. Ferrari, though, with... Oh! Scambro is retired in the pit lane. So that means now, as long as TH finishes the race, he is champion of TF1 Season 1. That would honestly confirm it. 3 drivers failing to finish. Ferrari also failed to finish. So that means Aston Martin could be on a roll for next week and could even take 4th place away from Ferrari. Of course, the only Ferrari that drove tonight was Kamakuda, but after being stuck on the curb at turn 13, he retired from the race there. And now 11 points. Well, not 11 points. Points and laps are kind of getting similar right now because of them being numbered. But at the moment now, TH, as long as he finishes this race, he is champion. There is nothing to worry about anymore. No stats really can go Umbi's way. Of course, Umbi winning lesser races than TH. And, well, looking at Kindle Zero as well. I mean, he could have brought on... No, he didn't have enough points there, so Kindle Zero out of that. I mean, John Liu would be out of this. He's out of this as well, so it really is between Umbi and TH, but there's just no contention at all from Umbi. I do not see him making up all that time, and I don't see TH retiring from this race either. He's just been so consistent all season, like I've already said. We'll have 10 laps to go at the line, and this is rather just starting to fade out. I mean, another close battle here is for 8th place, but that is sort of already decided as long as Kai keeps it between the white lines. 3-second post-race penalty for track limit violation going to Katoz. So Kai has got that position regardless, and that'll be a couple of points going, well, a few points even, beg your pardon, going the way of Mercedes once that's all done, as the Vin's into the pit lane. Okay, that shakes things up a little bit. So now the Vins could really ruin Alpine's day, as Umbi also into the pits. And that really does ruin Alpine's day. So Umbi wasn't able to get to the end there, as the Vins is on soft tyres. I don't think that's the way to go. Of course, yeah, Umbi... Does Umbi need to change tyres? Compounds? No. Surely not. As there you go, it's on a fresh set of mediums. I will check a couple of things in just a moment, because that might be why the Vince had to come into the pits, because he might have done a double stint on the mediums, and now with those softs, well, he's going to try and bring some pain to the Alpine towards the very end. So a disaster class in strategy from Umbi, and in the Alpine side of things, they will not be happy about that, as now a 9th place goes to Katoz on track. So Kai doesn't really want to play the risk game and wait until the end of the race. He's going to make his way through now and try and catch up Il Ninja for 7th place, but 12 seconds separating him and 9 laps. He needs more, well, around about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds a lap, and we'll see if he is able to do that. But Ninja on fresher medium tyres, and those should comfortably go to the end. It will be 13 laps once, well, 14 laps once that's all done, as already we see the Mercedes have a bit of a moment there. That was causing a brief yellow flag, actually. I think that might have been Gatoz. Yes, it was. So Gatoz there having a moment there. There's some gravel on his car. That would be evidence of that. But also, somebody catching up is the Williams now, as Steve gets a 3-second penalty for track limit violations there. So he was not able to catch up to the back of the Aston Martin, and now will have to serve that post-race. So that means Umbi and Steve are in a genuine fight now. And Umbi really needs to try and hurry up, because those soft tyres will not be good throughout the rest of the race. He is going to cut that very, very close indeed. But TH now is catching, and this is really important for the Constructors' Championship more than anything. McLaren came into tonight with a 29-point separation. Now, it wouldn't be enough. Again, it wouldn't be enough to bring this into... Well, would it be enough? Hang on, I'm trying to calculate points now, because that's a 4-point separation. Actually, yes, it would. So if TH remained ahead, it would be a 3-way fight for the Constructors going into next week. Alpine are losing out big time thanks to Umbi at the moment, but John Liu is still there, 10 seconds ahead of the Vins, but those soft tyres on the Aston Martin will not last. So he might be catching the gap now, but towards the end of the Grand Prix, those will be shredded tyres, I can guarantee you that. And already we're seeing TH catch up to the back of the McLaren, and this could be going Williams' way all of a sudden. One Williams out of this one, so that won't help them at all. But Umbi has just made a pit stop after going on to an alternative strategy that may or may not pay off. Of course, Umbi serving a post-race penalty of 3 seconds for track limit violations as well. That's not going to help either, as he wants to try and get past the Vins and score maximum points possible for the French team. You just saw TH there go through turn number 10 there and had DRS, but nowhere to go as he goes through 11 and 12. And yeah, now he is now much, much closer. So the mediums fell off a little quicker than I thought they would. I'm very surprised by that. As Kindle Zero now goes through the final corner, looking to defend from the Williams. Here we go. This could mean McLaren go to next week with a chance at the Constructors, or they will be out of this by the time final round is there. There's nearly contact between the two, and TH takes the lead of the Grand Prix. That's how it has been all season. With 7 laps to go, the Williams are now in the driving seat and looking to not only take the Constructors, but maybe, well, not only the drivers, but maybe the Constructors if certain things work out. But that seems to be highly unlikely. They are looking like they're just trying to knock one contender out, as already Kindle Zero has fallen back quite a bit, locking up into what is Sayat. That's turn number 5 there, and he continues on at the moment, hoping to try and stay within the 1 second gap. But Kindle Zero might be trying to look after his tyres a bit too hard. And with 7 laps to go, it'll be 6 at the line. He will be looking to try and keep up with the Williams. But 30 seconds now separating the two at the back, as now John Liu might be coming under serious pressure from the soft tyre of the Vins. But of course, he might be already aware that those will not last until the end of the Grand Prix. Umbi, though, just doesn't look like he will do enough. He needs just under 9 seconds in the next 7 laps. And, well, that's 2 seconds a lap on those soft tyres. While they will fall off rather quickly, it won't be 2 seconds a lap from this moment on quickly. Lap 28 out of 33 has begun with the top 2. They are not too far away from these two either. They're only like 3 or 4 corners away from them. But I don't think there'll be enough time to get them, to approach them to be lapped. As now Stee and Umbi are about to do battle here, as now into the next DRS zone through Campser. Stee goes to the inside to defend, round the outside, tries the Alpine, but that was never quite on. Let's just give you the tyre life. There is 10 lap difference, and well, look at that, over under from Umbi, no problem at all. That looked academic almost, and that was an incredible move from the Alpine, and he is through to 5th place. Doesn't really need any sort of separation. Both Stee and Umbi have a 3-second post-race penalty, and we'll see how that goes. But otherwise, he is now into 5th place, and that means with 3rd and 5th on the line, they will score. I'll get the points up in just a second. 3rd gives you 10 points, 5th gives you 6, so that is 16 points towards the Alpine squad, and they will match the Williams as things stand right now. But John Liu would have wanted more from that if we are being honest there. As now Kindle Zero is still behind TH there, so this might not be over yet. So it would be a 4-point swing towards the Alpine team, but it wouldn't be enough to take the Constructors' Championship into tonight. But TH knows this is enough to at least take the Drivers' Championship, as John Liu gets a 3-second track penalty, but Kindle Zero spins, and that may just do it in for Kindle Zero and the McLaren Constructors' hopes there. It is all over for them, and that might be the dagger in the chest for their Constructors' hopes. If Foxy was here, he might have been able to do a bit more, but otherwise now Kindle Zero, the only McLaren here tonight, and TH with the only Williams being tonight. Well, with Williams outscoring McLaren, McLaren of course solidifying 3rd place, but it will not be enough to now take the Constructors into next week for their own hopes, so they might be out of this one. 5 laps to go at the moment, 4 to go at the line. But it looks like it's all said and done. And obviously, John Liu getting a 3-second penalty now. What that means is he will have to be careful now. The Vince has kind of been given a way in, and this could spell disaster. 5 laps to go, 9.4 seconds between Umbi, but obviously Umbi would also need that 3-second cushion once he got past, and that's just not happening with the amount of time to go. There would need to be a safety car, and honestly, things have just calmed down so much. I just don't see that happening, and there are big gaps up and down the field. I really don't see this changing from here, in all honesty, but it has been one heck of a season for TH, and he is just now surely just counting down the corners, counting down the laps. It has been a stroll in the Spanish track, and he is currently now looking at a 4-second gap and is about to lap Kai there. Has already lapped Gatoz there. I think Gatoz just had a pit stop. He's actually had a pit stop 4 laps ago. That's when Kindle Zero and TH would have lapped them, and now he's approaching the back of Kai there. 19 seconds back from Ninja. But Ninja there, well, at least having a good result. Stee as well, having a decent comeback as well, up 5 positions. Obviously, 3 of those have been retirements, but honestly, the rest of it has been down to his own pace alone. So great driving here from Stee. And he could actually go away very happy with that, even though with a 3-second penalty as the Mercedes gets out the way of the leader there, just not impeding on his own race there. And now TH has a clear road to the start-finish line. Ninja is just so far down the road, it would take a major mistake from him to catch up. But there we go. Lap 31 out of 33 begins. TH is in the driving seat, and there's just no one nearby. But now one to look out for is the Vins, because I thought those soft tyres might fall off by now. Well, they haven't. 6 laps old, and now it's 9 tenths away from being a 3-second gap. And at the moment, this could spell trouble if you're an Alpine fan, because if the Vins is to get within that 3-second window, well, that would mean that it would now be 4th and 5th. So that is only a 14 points there compared to TH's 16. And that's a 2-point loss for Willie. And that's a 2-point loss for Alpine. So that means this would be a 21-point deficit going into the final round. And, well, that would not be what Alpine wanted. They would have wanted to have scored this, would have secured everything tonight, but that's now not going to happen. And, well, Umbi's strategy might be part of the blame for it, but also serving a 3-second penalty post-race doesn't help matters either. And here we go, the Vins is about to break into that 3-second bubble to the Alpine in front. He's only thousandths away, and there we go, he's gone and done it now. So now, Alpine lose that 3rd place, and that is a 2-point loss for them compared to the Williams. So all Vins needs to do, keep it between the white lines and just be safe. Better safe than sorry. And he's got this in the bag. The Vins having a great little stint here on the soft. So this has really gone very well for him. But obviously we did have the Qatar's fan club here earlier on with Autosport 2004. But unfortunately for them, they are seeing their driver slit plumb last. But they will take at the very least 2 points away from this for Gatoz's points, and of course for the Red Bull constructors as well. But ultimate lap here, and really no challenge at all as Umbi gets another penalty. It doesn't really matter, as now Steve would need to be within a 3-second bubble to Umbi, but I think even Umbi knows that it's just no point of that. Of really, it just changes nothing in the grand scheme of things. But here we go, something that has changed here is Ninja has caught up to Steve. And now, all of a sudden, Ninja with 5 laps fresher mediums compared to Steve's 18-lap old hards. We have a race which is for 6th place. And now, something to get excited about. Here we go. Ninja has only got a few corners to go. They've got the leaders behind that could lap them. But I think TH is just going through the final corner now. So, final lap begins for our leader. But now we have a battle for what are points here. 4 points or 5 points on offer. 6th place will get you 5. 7th will get you 4. And Ninja to the inside already. Contact between the two. That was a bit desperate from the Racing Bulls driver. He may think he's on the final lap, but he's got 2 to go. And now Steve is going to come back down the inside. And, well, he's going to get back past. But will Ninja be oh so kind? No, he will not. They're going to go side by side through the long right-hander of Kamsha. And that's Ninja. And spun round. And that might be karma for what happened at turn 5 there. Ninja is spun round, and that brings to an end what was a battle. We said it would take a major mistake from Ninja to be caught by TH, and that could have been it. But either way now, we cut to our leader, and well, who is only a few corners away from taking the championship after being oh so dominant and oh so consistent all season. His only bad round was Qatar a few weeks ago. He has looked absolutely unstoppable. Kindle Zero has been a fair competitor, as have others. Don't take anything away from Umbi and John Liu, but they just haven't had the measure of the driver in front of you now. TH has one more corner to go, and he is champion of TF1 for Season 1. There we go, and he wins in Spain as the cherry on top. Kindle Zero will be 2nd, and then John Luca, well, he's going to lose out to 3rd place to the Vins once we are across the line, unless if he can find, 8 tenths in these final few corners. The Vins would need to make a mistake, but that means the Constructors' Championship is 21 points difference going in between Alpine and the Williams. TH did what he needed to do for the Williams team, so that means they will at least get another bite at the cherry going into next week. But Alpine need to have a bad round, and there we go. The Vins on the podium, and that confirms that order, as now Ninja did try and catch back up to Steve, but no dice there. But in my opinion, that might have been a bit of payback for how desperate he was down the inside of Steve going through Seat, which is turn 5. And obviously, they've already passed that. But there you go. Steve will take 6th place. So that is 5 points for him. 4 points for Ninja. And there we go. All said and done here for another week of TF1. One last round to come next week. And we will, we'll bring you that live right here at 8 p.m. GMT, but 9 p.m. for you guys in Italy. And TH celebrates on the podium as world champion in TF1. The guy who created the league had to reboot it And he is the winner of this all, and also a great effort from TH to get this all arranged from week to week. We'll have one more round, and obviously we will announce where that is in just a few moments' time. But let's have a look at the podium celebrations. Kindle Zero taking second. The Vins taking third away after a post-race penalty for John Luca, who couldn't hold on to that. And Alpine and Williams have a 21-point difference going into next week. But I don't see that being overturned with how things stand. So we know your race winner, fastest lap as well, going to TH. Driver of the day, Steve Ninja, with the most overtakes, and cleanest driver going to TH. It really was a perfect drive from the Williams. But your 9 finishers go like this unofficially. TH, Kindle Zero, and the Vins with your top 3, with 4th and 5th respectively, go to John Luca and Umbi. Steve, Ninja, Kai, and Guitars round out the rest of your finishers with Scambro, Spindler, and Karmakuda, with your non-finishers for the evening. And with that wraps up the Drivers' Championship. Congratulations to TH there, who has had a great season, and that is going to be a rather special occasion. That is going to be rather special for him. Congratulations, TH, on World Champion. Of course, he was absolutely unstoppable. And well, there is only one more round to go. So we'll obviously going to say where that is. That will obviously be at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. And that concludes 9 races of action. Now, just in case, if you are wondering, well, this will sadly be my one and only season with TF1, as I am moving over to the States next year. So I'm afraid next week will also be my final commentary for this league. And I do just want to say a massive thank you to the admins, and of course to the main admin who I've been in contact with from week to week for just getting everything together, and of course just doing all the work that he has done to bring this together week by week. And I really do hope that you have enjoyed my commentary over the season, and it has been an absolute pleasure and joy to have brought you this from week to week. But let's send it out on a big one for next week. It will be in Abu Dhabi at 8 p.m. GMT or 9 p.m. for you guys in Italy. Thank you so much all for watching. From wherever you may be in the world, we wish you a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Stay safe, stay alive, look after your mental health, and we'll see you for the finale. Hopefully, we'll see if Williams can bring any kind of challenge to Alpine next week. It is 21 points between them as we go into the final round. Bye-bye for now.